Hello. This episode was going to be a celebration of my channel turning 1 year old, but due to my poor time management skills, it's actually going to come out quite a bit after that. So instead, what I'm going to do is make a map of my world in its current state. Well, you'll see later, not quite the current state that I've got going on. So it's not going to be a map by map episode because that would take quite a while. But this episode will be a little different from usual because I'm going to talk about what I've done so far in this world, and I'm also going to talk about my plans for the next year. But first, let's have a little celebration. My channel is a bit over 1 year old. Yay! So my plan is to build a building which is going to have a floor for each time that I update the map, and I've already made a start on mapping out the world, and it is almost the world before I started building, but there's a few little bits that had already changed before I got around to mapping those parts. So it's not quite accurate to the blank seed, but it will still show a good change from where I started to where I'll be when I do the next map update, and hopefully I can carry that on as I keep playing my world. So I have an area near my slime farm, my XP farm, where I'm planning to put this building. I don't have a design in mind, which might shock you because I'm usually so well prepared, as you know, if you've watched my previous episodes. But I have a vague idea of what I might do, and hopefully I can turn that into some sort of building. So my plan is to make a skyscraper, basically, eventually. So I put this build a little bit further away from most of the other things in the spawn area because I think over time it will be quite big, because I'm planning to do a new layer to display the updated map whenever I get to a point in progress where I've decided either that I've made enough progress or I've got to like a natural change point in my world. And that will make a little bit more sense as I explain my plans going forward. So one of the things that I was thinking of doing for this video was a world tour, but thinking about it, I don't feel like I've really done enough to warrant that. And I don't know if that's maybe because it's difficult to see things from the inside, but also I have only done 25 episodes and some streams where I've done a bit of building too, but I don't really feel like I have done that much. It's all been little projects, mostly little farms that I've made to help me get the materials that I need to build bigger and better, but I don't feel like it's enough to warrant a full episode doing a tour on my progress so far. But my plan, which I occasionally allude to, is to pave over this part of my world, and I have made a decent start in some areas. But obviously that will make quite a striking difference to my maps when that's done. And also I have plans for different buildings and parks and things. I've got so many plans. Hopefully I can actually implement them. So yeah, I'm hoping that over time there will be quite a radical change in this area from how it looked when I first opened the world. The other thing about my world is that I do have a border, which is 3,000 by 3,000 blocks. So it's a lot smaller than your usual Minecraft world. And I also haven't updated the game version since I started playing. So I am still on 1.21.1 and Minecraft has just released 1.21.10. So I'm now falling quite a bit behind the latest patch. And also I do want access to the new things. I'd love to have some iron golems helping me sort out my storage room. I'd love to be able to go and find a pale oak forest and get those new blocks and have access to all the different copper varieties, because as you might have noticed, I'm quite a fan of copper. And I should sleep. And I've got these little decorations here where I've put chains on this side because the lightning rods would look very strange. But of course, in the new patch, there are copper chains and there are also oxidizing lightning rods. So that would bring in a lot of new options for me to build with. And I don't want to just start a new world. I want to keep sharing that journey with my little audience on YouTube. So I've decided that I am going to, every now and again, expand the borders of my world. And my plan at the moment is basically just to expand it enough so that I can get access to some new things. So I'll look at my seed map, I'll see where the pale oak forest is and make sure that I expand my borders so that I've got a pale oak forest in there. So it won't be a set amount that my world grows by each time, but it will grow so that I can experience the new stuff. I probably still won't be expanding every patch. If there's a patch which doesn't add anything to the world, then I will most likely just update to that version but leave my world border the same. And I also want to have some sort of challenge or activity that I complete before I do the border expansion. So I still want it to be like a big thing that I, have to do something or collect something before I can unlock more of my world. So for the upcoming expansion, my plan is to fix the corruption at the edges of my world, which you'll be able to see much more clearly as I go along and do my mapping, because that makes it quite obvious where I've got chunks which shouldn't look how they look. And the actual process of fixing my world is going to be using a little program to delete those chunks, and then when I come to them next time round, they'll regenerate as they should have been in the original seed. So that's boring. And I do want to create some sort of lore for my world. I'm not going to say it's going to be very well thought out or necessarily coherent, but I'd still like to have something there rather than just I messed around with the files because I made a mistake once when I was copying and pasting. So I will need to build something to cleanse the corruption in my world. And that will be an episode of its own, or at least part of an episode. Obviously, don't know how long that will take because I haven't designed those either. But I will build something to cleanse the corruption in my world, and then at that point, I think I will also expand the world border and update Minecraft to the latest patch. And then there'll probably be quite a few episodes where I go and explore all the new stuff that I've been missing out on so far. And my plan will still be to pave over the world, but I think what I'm going to do is pave within the limits of the original 3,000 blocks. Because at my current rate of progress, that's probably going to take me quite a few years. So if I keep expanding it, then I'm never going to get it done. So my idea, more lore here, is that the paved over part is going to be enclosed, and then everything outside of that wall is going to be like the wilderness, which has monsters and dangers lurking in it. So we've got to build this wall to protect us from all of the unknown terrors that are outside the safety of the world border. So I have done some work on mapping already. So that's from the furthest south part of my world and all the way across. And then I've got this box here, which is going to be the the west side of my world. And then this is heading northwards. And I have also been taking out my Elytra and using it to help me with the mapping. So I am being careful. I'm not going in any caves, and I'm keeping my chest plate on me just in case mobs decide to come and say hello to me. So I just need to make sure that I don't lose it in any way. That would be bad. And I've also been getting the paper from my sugarcane farm and buying maps from my cartographer villager. So I'm going to grab this map, put that in my offhand, and then fly to roughly where I think it is. So, as I was saying earlier, you can see quite clearly on the map those chunks that aren't meant to be there. So I'm fairly certain that that grassy part is so square that I don't believe that that's naturally generated. So hopefully it will actually be easier once I've done the initial mapping of my world, because what I can do then is just copy the maps that I've made and fly around updating them. Whereas this time, because it's the first time that I'm doing it, what I have to do is make each of the maps from scratch, basically. So I'm looking forward to being able to copy the maps, and then I should also know which areas of the world I've updated, and then I can use that to speed the process up. It's already taken quite a few hours to do, and I assume it's going to take me quite a few more hours. There's a lot of water here as well. So yeah, the basic process is I get on my map, and then I make sure that I'm within the same section of map. But yeah, the bits over water are somewhat annoying today. So I swim out to make sure that I'm in the next set of chunks. Grab myself a new map and use it. And this map is going to be a smaller size. Not that you can see it very well, given that it's all water. But if I find somewhere, yeah, this is the problem with water, because I need to find somewhere to put down my crafting table so that I can expand the map. And also I put down my shulker box so that I can put the old maps in here, and you can see that some of these are locked. Eventually I will lock all of these, and that basically means that even when I update things in the world, that map isn't going to change. So then we make the map bigger and go and fill it in. And I think you can probably see why I'm not planning to do this as a map at a time, because even though my world is little, you can see one of the borders here, it will still take a long time to get all of these done. So there were already a few little highlights from my first mapping adventure, so I will put those on screen for you. And then I will check in if I get any more interesting things that happen while I'm mapping. Again, you can just see the chunks that aren't meant to be here. So once I've cleansed the corruption, I will do another mapping expedition for the parts of my world that have changed. And then that will become a new layer in my map tower. And then that can be a demonstration of the progress and the changes that I've made in my world at each phase. And I will also be keeping the mapping to the original 3000 block border as well. I'm not going to expand my mapping when I expand the world border, because I value my sanity. And again, like the paving, I think it would be a little bit crazy and time consuming to map everything as it keeps expanding. And also, I will be building less out there. It's not that I won't build anything outside these borders, but it's certainly not going to be as drastic a change as what I plan to do in this original section. So I don't think it will be as interesting to have that mapped out. For now, I am going to stop chattering and just keep mapping, and I will get back to you either once I finish that endeavour and I'm building my map tower, or if anything interesting happens. So it's not overly exciting, probably, but this is the village that I found in my first episode in my world. And it's amazing how much smaller my world feels now that it's all connected. So this seemed really quite far away, and I took a very circular route to get here, so it did take me a while to find. Whereas, I don't know, everything feels so much closer now. I guess because I've already explored it, so it's no longer the great unknown. Anyway, I should tidy this map up and cover everything. So yeah, I won't be going down there, because that way lies danger. Ooh, lush cave though. No. There are no distractions in this episode. And in editing, I'll tell you if is actually the case or not. But for now, I'm going to get back to my mapping. I will probably check in when I get to the ice farm. And there's no episode on making this because I tried to record it and add the audio in later, and I really struggled with that. So this will forever be the ice farm that I don't talk about. But it's quite a nice design. It's by Nembon. I've made a few little upgrades of my own, like swapping some signs for glow lichen. It's got a little refill station here. So this has used pickaxes, and that's for automatically refilling your pickaxe if you decide to AFK for a long time at the farm, but you know me and I get bored easily, so I tend not to. What I could do actually is show you a little clip of the farm in use. And then the drops will come up here into the shulker loaders and pop down into that chest. So I would like to have an auto crafting system here that I can load in shulker boxes of ice and turn it into packed ice, and then also load in packed ice to turn it into blue ice, because those will be much more useful than this basic ice block for most of the things that I'll want to use it for. So yeah, this is an example of a space which isn't original, because obviously I didn't spawn into my seed with an ice farm already created. I mean, in the absence of a video showing me building it, you could maybe assume that it was here all along, but I promise you, this is reasonably freshly built. So I did this just before my trial chamber episode, but due to aforementioned technical difficulties, I did not make an actual episode out of it. Now I'm going to move on with my mapping. I found another inconsistency, corruption. So I spotted this portal in the distance and I couldn't remember making it. I have no idea where it might lead, but I am fairly confident that I made this portal in my previous attempt at my foundation series, which I ended up not making into videos because I recorded it all using the replay mod with no voiceover. So I ended up with a load of progress and a load of footage that was basically useless. Also got some very bugged out vines here. So I did start off, and I've done this occasionally in episodes, where I have played clips from that world. I had this idea, occasionally implemented, that I would include advice from making my old world when I came into making the new one. And I did do that a little bit more at the start than I do currently, although this episode might have a clip or two. So I think my logic there was that I'd put in that effort to record something and I didn't want it wasted. Whereas these days, I cut a lot of stuff out just because there's a lot of stuff in Minecraft that you get up to that isn't overly interesting or that I don't really need to show. Like if I'm just running back the base, you don't need to see me doing that. It doesn't really add to the story I'm trying to tell. So my aim for this is I don't want to rush through things and then suddenly I've built a massive hotel or mansion or something whilst you weren't paying attention. But I also want to keep some sort of pacing going to hopefully mean that it is interesting to watch rather than being a sleep aid or something. Although, if that's how you want to watch my videos, do feel free. I'm trying to strike a balance between pacing to keep things interesting whilst also not being too hurried. And it's a learning process. This is the first video series that I've ever done on YouTube. My episode 1 is the first video that I've ever released on YouTube, or actually edited at all. So this adventure is very much a learning experience for me, and I hope there's been some improvement since I've started, and I also hope that there will continue to be improvement in how I present my videos. But back to talking about my original plan for a series, would help if I put that away. So the original footage, I was trying not to waste any of it, but I got to a point where I felt like I was trying to shoehorn in old footage rather than it sort of naturally fitting in. And I've also gotten a lot used to just chopping things out. So when I started off editing, I was very precious about what I'd recorded and I wanted to make sure that nothing was wasted, basically. But as I've sort of progressed and I'd say grown a little bit more confident in my editing, I am definitely happier to just accept that some things aren't going to be a riveting viewer experience. And my videos aren't exactly high adrenaline as it is most of the time. We've got the occasional mishap. Creepers like to drop in on me every now and again. But most of the time I think it's fairly laid back meander through Minecraft. That's what I'm aiming for. So I think it's time to put past Galasaurus to rest. I have one clip that I never really got a good chance to show. So I'm going to build a shulker farm in the end, and I put all my materials in shulker boxes, ready to take over. I've got my elytra on, and then I miss my landing, end up in a pool of lava, try and get out of the lava, and there's a ghast shooting at me. And instead of drinking a fire resist potion, or eating a golden apple, or using an ender pearl, all of which I had in my inventory, I just sort of panic, try to escape, die horribly, and lose everything, including all of the farm materials that I'd gathered in that lava pool. So that was just a amazing display of incompetence. So I'm doing some recording, but this is mid-episode, and mostly what I'm doing is just testing my microphone. So this might not ever see the light of day, but I might as well carry on with my mapping. I need to buy some more maps. I need to get some emeralds. So I'm going to grab some pumpkins and melons. I do have loads over at my villagers, but I like to keep the supply coming. Hello, little puppy. I found a little puppy at the edge of the wild and brought him home. I don't remember how many variants there are of dogs, but hopefully I'll be able to collect them all at some point. Right, do I have anything that needs repairing? No. Aww. Aww. I can't remember how many times I can trade with this guy. But I will need 36 maps, which I doubt I'm gonna be able to get all in one go. Yep. Well, maybe. Maybe he'll reset at some point, and then I can trade some more. Hello. How's everyone doing? You alright? I'll build you a nice place to live at some point. Yeah, you've reset. Cool. Still not enough. Right. I guess I can do most of them. And my plan is to work from the top down. Have you just reset again? Yes. Okay, cool. I don't know also whether this audio is going to sound any different. Because I've bought a new mic arm. And then I've also changed up my audio settings in OBS. So there's a chance that this portion of the audio is going to sound a lot different from the rest. There's a chance that it doesn't sound different at all. And there's a chance that it either sounds terrible or it's just not picking up anything. So, I won't know what happens until I stop my recording. Oh, that's going for the moon. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I brought enough sugarcane to make all of the paper that I need for this. And I'm going to say no, I didn't, because I'm going to need 36 times 8 paper, which is going to be more than 64 times 3 plus 40, I believe. As I demonstrated last time, my maths ability isn't overly amazing, but, you know, a little rough estimate tells me that that's the case. Now I just need to head north to make sure that I'm in... Yep, okay. So, the next thing I want to do is make sure that I don't fall in any holes. Because I don't want to lose my elytra in a caving disaster again. Is that a little well up there? I'm getting distracted. So I'm going to fly until I am no longer on this map, and then I'm going to walk for a bit more because I've had the issue before where I thought I was in the next zone and used my map and it wasn't right. So there we go. Yep, I've definitely made a different zone. I'm definitely... Oh yeah. So these maps are different sizes, which is why that one is covering everything when it should have some sort of glitchy stuff, as you can see in the other map there. Right. Expand this. I've faffed around for so long trading that night is falling. So that's always good, but this is why we brought the bed. I'm not sure I've seen a house quite like that. Maybe it's because I don't go in the ice ones very often. Oh, it's one of the brewer ones. Interesting. Hello. That look like a cartographer. Yeah. Oh, I'll steal the compass and the paper and the stick. Do love a good stick. The question is this little igloo one of the ones that has the hidden thing? And the answer is no. It just has a bed in it. Okay. That is also very unusual. Is that like a... No? Might steal this though. Oh gosh. I'm just in villager looting mode again. I should leave the poor people be. And yes, I am getting completely distracted by this. Oh, you've got jazzy... Look at you with all your furnaces. Very fancy. Maybe I should steal these. Yeah, sorry. I need to make a super smelter is the thing. So I need all the furnaces I can get, really. I've finished my mapping. And I'm in this little space which I dug out where I'm planning to build the display skyscraper eventually for my maps. So what I need to do is make the area where my maps are going to be placed. And I grabbed the fog lights. This will shock you to learn. I don't actually have a plan for this building. I have a vague idea for this building. So I'm going to leave myself some space because, you know, we'll do a few blocks for the external part of the building, and then I want some sort of path around my maps. 3 blocks around the map should be good. So if I start placing... And the idea with these ones is that you won't be able to see the frog lights because they'll be surrounded by floor blocks on this side, and then on the top is where the maps are going to go. So I'm using the oak frog lights for this layer because they won't show up. Okay. So I've got going to have my path around there and then space to build some building. I might need to dig this out a little more. Also, yeah, let's turn flashback on so that I can do some nice time lapse for this rather than just a view of placing it block by block. And this needs to be 13 by 13 to fill the maps that I made in. So we've got the nice outside line of them facing upwards, and then the centre is sideways on. Again, this doesn't make any difference at all because you won't be able to see any of this. People do this sort of crisscross pan with logs, but I don't know if I've seen anyone do it with frog lights. I'm just wondering what it looks like. Interesting. I'm not going to do it here, but maybe somewhere I'll find a use for laying out frog lights like that. And night is falling. Am I brave enough to stay out all night? So the next stage is to populate this. Okay, so this is the bottom row. I need to check that all of these are locked before I put them out because otherwise they could update. And I also don't know if these are in the right order because some of them definitely got muddled up a bit. So I think this does actually look good. I mean, it looks weird because of the chunk issues that I have. Although, actually, no. Yeah, that's meant to be right on the end. Okay, hopefully once I lay it out that way, it will actually look good. And everything will fit together like a proper map. Oops. Would help if I scrolled the right way. Okay. Yep, I think those are all lined up. And yeah, because of the world border, I can't actually get across to unlock all of that. So that's just going to have to be not filled in on the early maps. So this is going to be phase 0. And this is how my map looked when I started the world. Except that's not entirely accurate because I've only just done all the mapping. So I did do some of the center of the world pretty early on, but other parts of this do have modifications that I've made to them. So here's the middle of my world, and yeah, you can see here that there are some changes to it. So I've got the circle that I laid out to show where my base was. And then this is my iron farm when I was in the process of making it. So yeah, it's not quite the pristine world, but hopefully it will be close enough. And with the chunk issue, this is all messed up anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter that it's not a pristine map of my starter world. The idea is to show progress over time, and I'm pretty sure I will achieve that goal. This is the map of my world. I hope you enjoyed watching the process of me making it. It did take quite a long time, but hopefully future iterations should be quicker because I can copy the maps that are here and then just go and update the bits where I've been building or made changes. But yeah, next step is to build some sort of building around this so that I don't end up with creepers blowing up all of my hard work, and also just so that it looks nice and it displays my maps properly. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.